The bitter wind blew through the empty playground, rustling the brittle leaves scattered across the cracked pavement. It was a cold autumn morning, and the world still wore the gray hush of dawn. But in the quiet corner near the rusted swing set, something extraordinary was happening. A little boy, no older than 4, took his first shaky steps under the watchful gaze of a barefoot girl no older than 10. Her clothes were tattered, her hands smudged with dirt, but her eyes sparkled with warmth and purpose. She clapped gently and whispered encouragements, her voice low but full of hope. Unbeknownst to them, a man in an expensive charcoal suit stood frozen at the edge of the parking lot, his eyes locked on the scene. Lucas Sterling, billionaire tech mogul and single father, had come to pick up his son from a specialized therapy session that had been cancelled without notice. But what he stumbled upon left him rooted to the ground. His son, Eli, was born with a neurological condition that delayed his motor development. Doctors had said he might never walk. Lucas had poured millions into treatments, flown in the best therapists, and still, Eli had never taken a single step on his own, until now. And not with a trained professional, but with a girl who looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Lucas watched as Eli wobbled, stumbled, and fell into the girl's arms. She hugged him with fierce joy, her smile lighting up her dirt-streaked face. Then she helped him up again, more patient than any therapist he'd ever hired. Lucas's throat tightened as he stepped closer. "Excuse me," he said, voice hesitant. The girl turned, startled, pulling Eli protectively behind her. For a second, her eyes darted like a cornered animal's, ready to flee. "It's okay," Lucas said, raising his hands. "I'm his father. I just saw what you were doing." She relaxed only slightly, nodding slowly. "I didn't mean any harm, sir." He looked lonely. "I come here sometimes, to think. I didn't know anyone else was around." Lucas knelt beside Eli, who beamed with pride. "Daddy. I walked. Lila helped me." "Lila." Lucas looked at her again. Thin frame, hollow cheeks, eyes that carried more pain and wisdom than any child's should. He felt a wave of shame. In all his wealth and power, it had taken a homeless child to teach his son what no specialist could. "Where are your parents, Lila?" he asked gently. She looked down. "Gone. My mom passed last winter. I've been on my own since. I stay near the shelter sometimes, but it's full. It's safer out here, usually." Lucas's heart broke. "How long have you been like this?" "Almost a year. But I'm okay. I don't steal. I find odd jobs, help people. I just don't like feeling invisible." That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. Lila's face haunted him. He thought of her tucking Eli's jacket around his small frame, of her guiding his steps, of the gentleness in her touch despite her rough life. How had a girl who'd lost everything still found it in herself to give? The next morning, Lucas returned to the playground, hoping to find her. She wasn't there. Nor the next day. Days turned into a week. Then, one rainy afternoon, he spotted her curled under a bus shelter, shivering. He approached with an umbrella and a warm coat. She looked up warily, then smiled when she recognized him. "I've been looking for you," he said. "Come with me. You helped my son. Let me help you." She hesitated. "Why? Just because I helped Eli?" "No," Lucas replied. "Because you reminded me what real strength looks like. And because no child should have to survive the way you have." It took convincing, but Lila finally agreed. He brought her home, gave her her own room, meals, and clothes. He hired counselors and tutors. Slowly, Lila bloomed. She was sharp, kind, and resilient beyond measure. Months passed. Eli began to walk with confidence, always wanting Lila by his side. They became inseparable, siblings in spirit if not in blood. Lucas watched them, his heart fuller than it had been in years. One evening, as the sun set behind their estate, Lila stood beside Lucas on the balcony, watching Eli chase butterflies in the garden. "Thank you," she said quietly. Lucas shook his head. "No, Lila. I should be thanking you. You changed my son's life, and mine. You reminded me what truly matters." Her eyes welled up. "I used to feel like the world forgot me. But now, I feel seen." Lucas placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You're not just seen, Lila. You're cherished. You're part of this family. And you always will be." Years later, Lila stood on the stage of a prestigious university, valedictorian of her class. In the audience, Lucas and Eli sat front row, pride shining in their eyes. In her speech, Lila said, "Once, I was a little girl with nowhere to go. But one act of kindness changed everything. When we give, when we see others not as burdens but as blessings, we create miracles. I know, because I was one of them." And somewhere in the crowd, a tear slipped down Lucas Sterling's cheek. Because what he had once discovered in a broken playground, he now saw in full bloom before the world, a reminder that sometimes, the smallest hands can spark the greatest change. And that love, in its purest form, expects nothing and gives everything. The audience stood in thunderous applause. And in that moment, the story of a homeless girl and a lonely boy became a legacy of hope that would inspire generations to come.